This is our ultimate 79 series touring setup. So we've set up a few vehicles in our time. As everyone does, it's an evolving process, and this is about the fourth vehicle we've done. The previous one being basically the exact same 2020 model pre-facelifted 79 series. So we did know what we wanted in this vehicle, and we have done a few things differently to the last one. So let's run through what we believe is the perfect setup for a 79 series and having all the things you need and nothing you don't. Okay, so first up, we should explain what the vehicle is. Now, this is a 2024 model, obviously facelifted V8 manual 79 series twin cab Landcruiser. And we picked this vehicle basically because it's the same as the last one we had, and we found it was perfect for towing a big van and touring around the country. Yes, it has many flaws, and we're fully aware of that, and that's a 79 series thing, but we think we have fixed most of those flaws, and then the flaws that it still does have are actually why we buy the vehicle and why we like it. Now, we'll start at the front and we'll work our way around through the inside, and we'll go through all the modifications we have done. I will put thumbnails in the bottom corner as we talk about each thing, as we have done full in-depth builds on this on our other channel, STS Garage. So if anything really does interest you of exactly how we installed it or how we did it, there will be a full video on this. So this video is about why we did those modifications, how we've used those modifications, and whether we like them or not, because we have done a few trips in it now. So we will start at the front, and the obvious thing is going to be the fact that we don't have a bull bar on this vehicle. Now, I'm not saying I'll never put a bull bar on it, but for now, I, one, really like the look of it. Two, we don't have a great need for a bull bar in that we don't drive in the times of days that, you know, really you get those animal strikes. And touch wood, I've never hit an animal in my life touring around this country, and we have done a fair bit. So this build was about only putting things on the vehicle that we really needed, really use, and not overloading the vehicle with accessories that we don't need or use. And for now, a bull bar is one of those accessories that we just don't need, being that we managed to get a winch in behind the factory bumper, and that's one of those builds we did do in STS Garage. I really like the look of it. It's functional, it's well hidden, and it's one of those things that just worked. So that's the front of the vehicle, and I think it really does give it also a unique look. And look, there's definitely part of these modifications we've done, we did want this vehicle to look good. You spend a lot of money on these things, so you want to be proud of what you're driving down the road. So having no bull bar is definitely part of that. So we got a 12,000 pound carbon winch in behind the factory bumper, nice and stealth looking. Yeah, we really just like the look of the facelifted model. So that's what we've done at the front. Okay, so let's have a talk about the mechanical package, and it's a big reason we bought this vehicle. Yes, I know the 4-cylinder automatic version is probably faster. The automatic would be nicer to live with, but you don't buy these vehicles for a 4-cylinder, I'm sorry, and there will be a lot of people that disagree with that. But we do love the old school nature of the V8. So we have done a few key modifications though, one being the clutch. Even without a tune, the clutch has known to be a weak point, but we knew we were going to also then get it tuned. So first off, we put an MPC 1300 Newton meter clutch in it, which I did myself, and I definitely bugged it up, and we forgot to put some of the wiring harness back onto the gearbox that when we took it to ultimate diesel tune, which there's a full episode here on how that went, they found that problem, rectified it, and then tuned it. Now we went to ultimate diesel tune because 4 years ago, we took our original 79 series into them. We did 60,000 Ks in that vehicle, including a 3.5 tonne towing a caravan around Australia. And we never had an issue, and that was the simple reason why we went back to ultimate diesel tune. So yes, this definitely still has a DPF in. We've got a 3.5 inch back from the DPF exhaust from Torque It. That was another modification we'd done previously. It just worked. It's not too loud in the cab. Again, this is a touring vehicle, so we're not going for that thong slapper sound that is commonly known with the V8 79 series. So under the bonnet, we have the factory airbox. I have put the little shim in there to tighten down onto the air filter, the Terrain Tamer shim kit. The previous vehicle, we did have an aftermarket airbox, and it was a beautiful bit of gear, but I found it was just too fiddly to clean the air filter. So we're going to keep clean filters in the factory airbox, not sit up the arse of cars while you're on dirt roads, and eventually we will probably put a safari snorkel on it, but they're not currently out yet, because I do believe that the head on the factory snorkel is a big restriction. And yes, I know you can just replace that head, but the safari snorkel I really did like in the previous vehicle, and I feel it just made the engine breathe a little bit better, and it did go a little bit better considering that this is the exact same tune. So underneath the bonnet is actually really quite factory and standard, and I've done that on purpose this time. The last one had a few more modifications. We had a dual lithium battery setup, which really did sort of clutter the under the bonnet a little bit. Now we'll get into why we didn't do the dual battery lithium setup under the bonnet. As we move further back, this car has no lack of 12 volt power, so we didn't need to do that this time. We have a red arc isolator, and eventually there will be a second fuel filter. I'm not sure I'm even going to run a catch can. I have learnt that sometimes leaving the vehicle factory, you don't seem to have as many little niggly issues. The only time I've ever had things fail is the parts that I've worked on. So Toyota's better at this than just about anyone else. So we're only changing the things that we really need to, and not just changing it for the sake of it. So that really is the mechanical package as far as engine and performance modifications go. The other thing that really you can't see too much of is the GVM and GCM upgrade. So it's got a levels 4200 and 7400 GCM and GVM upgrade in it, and we did that after rego. Now, pre-rego ultimately is better. If you can get your dealer to give you the vehicle unregistered so you can get it done pre-rego, it is going to be better in terms of resale value. If you sell that into interstate, then that GVM and GCM is nationally, recognised. The fact that we got it done after rego, if we sell it into Queensland, South Australia, WA, that means that all that's wiped, and they'll have to get it re-engineered and probably won't be able to get the GCM redone depending on the state. So we did it for ease of use. We live in New South Wales. I'm worried about when I own it. Good chance that someone in New South Wales will eventually buy it if we ever sell this one, because we do plan on keeping this one for a while. So there's a few things to keep in mind. However, Lovells is a very cost-effective way to get that GVM and GCM upgrade that you do need with these vehicles. They get heavy fast, even if you're keeping it simple. And then once you put a big weight on the back and a fair bit of ball weight, you really do reach that GVM and GCM of the standard vehicle. And we knew how we wanted to use it, that we would want to do that again. We really were close to our GVM in the previous vehicle. And again, it's learning from previous vehicles of how we want to set the vehicle up and exactly how we're going to use it is why we put these modifications on again. Righto, to go along with that GVM GCM upgrade, we did actually change the housing in this vehicle, and that was another in-depth series we did at STS Garage. And even Meg's got in and helped me with that one. Thanks, Dale. Funnily enough, that was our wedding anniversary that day, and yeah, I've lucked out with my choice of women there. She's a keeper. So we've got the D-Wiz diff housing in this one, and I mainly did that for the track correction and being able to rotate the tyres. So the previous vehicle had 0 offset on the front, -25 on the rear. Now I wasn't able to really rotate the tyres as often as I'd like. That way you had to take them off the rims. And what eventually happened was the rear tyres ended up squaring off that badly because of the pressures we were running in them and the weight we had in the back of it. Then when I did actually rotate them on the rims, I couldn't keep the thing on the road. It tramlined like shockingly. And when you consider a good Mickey Thompson tyres close to $500 a corner, when you are starting to really use the vehicle, just to replace tyres because it doesn't drive nice is not a good thing to do. So I just bit the bullet at the start this time, spent that extra money to get the D-Wiz housing and track correction, but it also brings up your rear axle load and strengthens your rear axle. So, these things are known to crack the rear housing when they're overloaded. And look, I think a lot of that's got to do with owner abuse. But it is one of those things in the back of your mind, if you're hurtling down a dirt road, you don't see a washout. It does happen, it happens to everyone. We've got that extra strength in that rear diff housing because it's going to cop the brunt of that hit. The other thing we got underneath the vehicle is the Brown Davis 110 litre auxiliary fuel tank, and it's got the changeover valve. Again, we did that because we had that in the previous vehicle, and you can just never have too much fuel. We went to Brown Davis because it moves the fuel forward of that rear axle. I did look at the idea of having that ARB full replacement rear tank, but it puts 180 litres behind the rear axle, whereas this gives you 110 in front plus the original 130. Now the only downside of that is the actual tank is steel, so you're adding more weight even if you've got no fuel in it. So it's something to keep in mind when you are setting up your vehicle. All these things you add start adding weight, and look, for us the payoff was worth it, and to go along with the GVM GCM, the fuel capacity was worth it also. Moving down the side of the vehicle, let's have a look at the wheels and tyres, and I won't lie, a lot of this choice here has got a fair bit to do with looks. The previous vehicle we had steel wheels on, and I do believe in a good quality steel wheel, being nice and strong. You don't tend to have those problems where the wheel nuts come loose as much. But this time Meg's won, and we've gone for something that looks bloody amazing. The ROH Salts in a 16x9 -12 offset with a 285, 75, 16 Mickey Thompson mud terrain, which are a Barger Boss, I had to remember. Look, the wheel and tyre package is about that -12, just pushing it to the limits of getting that track wider. Definitely with the wider rear track, the thing does drive really nice. The mud terrains, obviously, we definitely wanted an all-terrain. We do go off-road, like that's what we're all about. To be honest, we probably don't need a mud terrain, and they are definitely a little bit noisier than the old Mickey Thompson ATZs. I really love the ATZ, and they don't make them anymore. But you can't argue with the looks. It looks friggin' awesome on the muddies. The wheels look amazing, and they're an ROH wheel, so they are a nice quality strong alloy, and we make sure we torque our wheel nuts up every time we undo them. So that's the wheel and tyre package. We're moving down the side here. We've got some Ironman side steps. Now I've chosen Ironman side steps, a lot stronger than the standard ones anyway, so they do add some protection, definitely add to the look of the vehicle. I couldn't handle those aluminium steps, so that's another one where looks did come into it. But we've also chosen the Ironman side steps because I do really like the look of the Ironman bull bar and side rails, which can be adapted to those later if we do decide to do a bull bar later on down the track. So we're just sort of future-proofing the decisions there in case I do change things up a little down the track. I don't want to have to go replacing the side steps as well. The next thing on the side of the vehicle is the clear view mirrors. Now, these aren't the classics. I did like the classics on the 79 series. So these are the next gen or step down, and then they obviously do the smaller one again. I think that's a perfect size on this vehicle, and it's something you can't do without in a 79, being that not only does it offer you towing capacity by being able to move out so you can see down the side of the vehicle, it also gives you an electric mirror in the 79 because you don't get electric mirrors standard, which is one of those Toyota things that is pretty ordinary really. We've got window tint. It's pretty well the darkest legal you can go. Big fan of window tint. I wouldn't own a vehicle without it. So that rounds up the front of the vehicle and the mechanical package. Let's take a look inside now, and we'll show you the few things that we've had to change inside because Mr. Toyota just wouldn't do it for us. Okay, so inside here there are 3 things that are a must do in a 79 series, and it's something that really should be done from the factory. First one is the center console. The little center console it comes with, well, you can't put your elbow on it, so you end up driving lopsided and it really hurts your back. So this is a cruiser consoles. We had one of these in a previous shoot. That's why we've done it again. The difference here is we've got it in black because we've got a parts bin special Toyota Hilux steering wheel, which is black. So it really ties in nicely with the rest of the parts bin special interior that Toyota offers in the 79 series. And look, I'm just hacking on it and getting it out there. So, you know, it's just what they are. I'm not precious about the car. We bought it for what it is, but it just sucks that you got to do some of these things in here, and that's one of them. The next being, we added a reversing camera from Custom Car Stereos. The kit worked perfectly. There's a quick little install video on STS Garage also. And again, a reversing camera in this day and age, in a vehicle that is designed to tow, is just silly that it's not standard, but we've fixed that as well. We've got a Red Arc Tow Pro brake controller, which is a pretty standard thing these days. And the really big added bonus for comfort in this vehicle for us is the Alpine door pods and stereo running through the factory head unit. And again, there's a full install video on that on STS Garage as well. And I believe that that was one of the better value things we've done. Music for us is very important, especially when you're doing those long days, long kilometers in the car. The phone gets passed around between me, Megan and the kids. We all pick songs. Music is a part of life for us, and having a decent stereo is a must. And the stereo it comes with, again, is one of those shortfalls that is just inexcusable. The other really good thing with these door pods, especially for how we use this vehicle, is they have USB ports in all of them. So it adds another 8 USB charging ports to this vehicle. Now, Toyota has actually got USB-C in the dash, which is, it's kind of laughable because that is quite ahead of the game, to be honest. The rest of it, however, you do need to fix. So the one last little modification we've done to the interior is actually handheld two ways. Being that I don't have a bull bar on the vehicle, I haven't really found a really good spot to mount a two-way aerial. So what we have done is we've gone and got some quality handheld UHFs, and to be honest, I'm not really rushing out to put a fixed permanent UHF in the vehicle now, because 90% of the time this is going to be enough, and we've got 2 of them. So when Megs runs ahead to do some filming, and I mean that's our situation, not everyone's going to be like that, you've got 2 there you can communicate, and then obviously communicate with oncoming vehicles. If you're going, you know, west and doing desert trips, you're going to struggle for range with this, but in mountainous areas, the shorter aerial and the little handheld is probably nearly as effective as a car mounted one. And it's something I think that gets overlooked. That, you know, you don't just have to put a fixed radio into your 4x4. A good quality handheld, I think, is sometimes enough. So when you're building a touring vehicle and it's a ute or a dual cab ute or a truck, most of your modifications are going to be from the cab back. Now, the previous ute, we did have quite a budget set up that I put together myself with different and various products. I'd wired it all up myself, and I sort of evolved it over time. And when you do evolve things over time, it gets messy. So this time, and being about the 4th vehicle we have set up for camping and touring, I knew I just wanted something really well done, and I wanted it to be finished from the start. So we approached G-Works, and they have built what is quite a beautiful product, and it's at the pointy end of train canopy manufacturing. So let's take a good look at what is basically why you buy a dual cab to tour in. It is your train canopy setup. Okay, so we'll start with the tray, and one thing that did draw us to G-Works was the attention to detail and how they were finished off. And the water and fuel fillers are one of those things. So we've got twin fillers on the other side for the Brown Davis tank and one for the standard tank. This side I've opted to just have the single filler and a cap. So we have twin water tanks. It fills into the top water tank and then filters down into the bottom one, giving us a total of 100 litres. We have a 4 litre a minute water pump and our little water outlet at the rear here with a snap fitting. That just works beautifully. So even if you take off your canopy, you still have all your water, and you do have the option to have the air compressor in the toolbox, which is what G-Works normally do, and I just had to be different and put in the canopy, but we'll show you that in a minute. Now this is a Gen 2 tray, which means you are able to slide in the tray side brackets and bolt sides on when you do remove the canopy, and it leaves you with no holes in the side of the tray when you do then take them off. So this extrusion runs right around the outside. It also gives you a myriad of tie down points, which we'll get into as we move around the back. Okay, so moving around towards the rear of the tray here, we do have some short little tray sides, being that this is a 1250mm canopy. Now, we've gone for that size canopy for a few reasons. One being, we don't want to make the rear of the vehicle too heavy. If you go for a full length canopy, then your spare's hanging way off the back of that. And I think in a dual cab application where the chassis hasn't been stretched, you're really starting to push the boundaries of physics there, and you make the back of the vehicle too heavy. Not only that, we wanted to have some tray space, and we found that that is the perfect amount after doing a couple of trips into some cold climates for a really good night's worth of firewood, and that's one of the big reasons we did it. We're still yet to test whether the dog will be happy in there. We'll strap him down, he won't fall out, but we'll see how that works. But that was another thought in the back of our mind. But I think it is a really good size canopy and tray setup, that 1250. Obviously you need room for your spare, being that there's a trundle tray underneath. We've got the ladder rack on the rear and the full rack through the top, which gives you so many options of fixing things too. We've got our solar clips up there. Very proud of that product, and it just allows you to add and remove your solar panels. You know, park in the shade, rip your solar panels off, move them to the sun. Also, if you want to rip them off, you can leave them at camp when you're going to get some firewood, and you do want more than what can fit in the back. You've got that option of being able to put stuff up on the roof rack. So as a package, it does function really well so far for how we've used it, and we're really happy with that 1250 versus, you know, what tray space we have left. Now let's have a look at this really clever little tie down area in the back. It's one of those things that also set G-Works apart when we were looking into trays and canopies, and it's the finer details in products normally like this that when you're using them day to day do make all the difference. Okay, so the same extrusion that creates that, you know, removable tray side bracket that leaves no bolt holes also has this tie down groove cut into the top of it. Now, it not only gives you a myriad of fixing options, it actually is where the rear ladder rack gets fixed to, and also the canopy itself. So if you really wanted to change your setup, you remove the canopy, you remove the rear ladder rack, you remove the tray sides, there is not a single hole left in the whole tray, including the deck. It's also coated with a Protex powder coating, which is about as durable, or is the most durable powder coating product on the market. And we're really testing that because there's been a lot of firewood thrown in here in 2 trips already. And so far it's holding up. Look, everything has its limit. If you take to it with something sharp or leave a piece of steel laying in the back, it's obviously going to rub through. But this is the best powder coating product on the market at the moment. Not only is it tough, but it actually, I really do like the textured look of it. Righto, I mentioned that it had a trundle tray just earlier there, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more because I didn't realise I needed a trundle tray in my life until I had one. This is one of the handier parts and one of the parts I use nearly on a daily basis. You're always looking for a pair of pliers or a bit of electrical tape, or you know, you charge it for your chainsaw and chainsaw batteries. It just is a perfect little workspace. Now, it is quite a short trundle tray, obviously, because we have the water tank in front. Personally, I think this is about all you need. Thinking that we are always towing something, so if you had a full-length trundle tray, you had something up the front of it that was quite important, and you're hooked up on the side of the road, you wouldn't be able to get the trundle tray out anyway. So I think this is actually a good balance. Not only that, having it not too long, you are unable to put too much weight in it. Yeah, I'm getting pretty excited about my trundle tray. It's my little workspace when we're on the road. It's my little tool shed. Righto, let's have a look inside this canopy, and there's a fair bit going on and a fair bit of good gear. This is the business side of the canopy, being that this is where the beers go. So we'll start at the back here, and the rear has a pull-out pantry. Again, this is one of those things like the trundle tray I didn't know I needed in my life until we started using it. And the last 2 trips, this has been so handy. Now, we generally don't use this so much as a food pantry unless we're doing day trips, but generally we have our first aid kit, the fire lighters, the mozzie repellent, paper towel. You can never have enough paper towel when you're camping. Just anything you want to chuck in there, and you set it up how you want to set it up. It's just a great way to utilise the space, so you can just pull it out, you see what you got in there, you're not digging through into plastic tubs or anything like that. It just works bloody really well. And we also have this little tray underneath, which we actually use for all our torches, head torches, lights, charging cables, you know, cigarette lighters to light the fire, like just all those little random knickknacks that if you just had it in a big tub, you'd be searching through it. It's a nice long skinny tray, you pull it out, you can see what you've got. It works bloody fantastically. So we're really happy with how that's working so far. Beside it, we've got the Dometic NRX fridge, which just about every man and his dog seems to be getting into at the moment. It is the flavour of the month with fridges. We've never had a Bushman's, so I can't comment whether it's better or worse. It looks fantastic. We really like the finish on it. The beers just fit in the crisper. They could make that a little bit higher because I think that's really important. But it's doing the job, it's doing it well. It's a digital temperature gauge and setup on the side, which I think, I can't be sure, but I don't know if a Bushman have that digital setup. I think it's a dial. I might be wrong there, but we have had fridges in the past that were a little dial setup, bit more finicky, and just not as nice to use. So far so good. Like I said, we've done 2 trips in it. The fridge gets cold, it looks good. So as far as I'm concerned, it works well. So just in front of the fridge, between the fridge and the headboard, is where all the electricals are, and there is a ton of electrical gear in this Canopy. This is going to be quite a mouthful to run through what is in this Canopy electrically. There's quite a lot going on. We'll start with the obvious one above us. We have LED lighting throughout. Not only are they dimmable, they're also dimmable bug lights as well, and they're switchable through the Red Arc Red Vision screen. We also have door buzzers that are activated through the handbrake. So if the car's running and you take the handbrake off and the canopy is open, door buzzers go off inside the cab to alert you that the door's open, because I have definitely ripped a door off a toolbox in my own shed by driving out when it's open. You just have to do that when you're spending good money on a canopy like this, because it can really ruin your day. So to go along with those door buzzers and add so much more functionality is the fact that they are central locking on the actual canopy doors, which is a great feature, because I know in previous setups, generally just don't lock the thing because you couldn't be bothered to walk up to it with a key. You hit the button and walk away from generally your toolboxes are unlocked. This time they're not, and it's quite important because we do store a lot of our expensive camera equipment in here, so we know it's always secure. So that's a really good functionality feature, and it makes a difference, you know, going to that next level with your canopy setup and having those nicer few features adds a lot of value in functionality like that. So in the front here, we have the brains of the system being a 3000 watt Red Arc inverter, the Red Arc Alpha 100, Rogue TVMS, and the Red Vision screen, all enclosed in a custom made box done by G-Works. This isn't a pre-wired system. These guys did it in-house, and there's a full build series on how all this went together on STS Garage, and there is days of work setting up the electrical system in this, and doing it in a way that can be diagnosed if something goes wrong, doing it in a way that nothing should go wrong in the first place, more importantly. Now, I mentioned that this does have the Alpha 100 in it, so that is a 100 amp DC-DC charger, obviously the brand new Red Arc bit of gear. I just love the idea of that. Now, obviously a 100 amp DC-DC charger, the alternator's not going to handle. It is selectable all the way down from 5 amps all the way up to 100. We run it at about 50 to 60 amps, depending on what we're towing and how much it needs as well. And then it also combines solar. So the solar panels on the roof add to, say, the 50 we have it set at. So we get a total of 60, depending on how sunny the day is. So we have the 3000 watt inverter in there, and we use that primarily to recharge the van, whatever we're towing at the time. So you use your van, and we're going to get into more and more induction cooking. We run the van batteries down. If we're going to head out for the day, I plug the 3000 watt inverter into the charging port of the caravan. We charge the van up, we head out for the day, the car charges the batteries again, and so on and so forth. And you can replenish the batteries in your caravan even if you're not generating a lot of solar power. And I think that's a really good way to set up your tow vehicle to have quite a lot of charging capacity in the vehicle, not worried so much or being stressed that the van has to generate enough power just to, you know, replenish the batteries on its own. Being able to do it out of your vehicle, I think, is a great way to set it up. And to go along with that, we've got 400 amps, so two 200 amp DCS batteries. And these things are the top of the game as far as lithium technology goes. They're always pushing the boundaries to try and push the cycle life further. And these are their latest offering. And we've had DCS batteries in about 3 or 4 applications now, and we've had really good experiences with them. So there's no reason why I wouldn't have put them in this. And we have mountains of power being 400 amps. And it's, again, I've said it in previous videos, the 12 volt stuff I do really nerd out on, but it really does help the way we travel and how we cook. And I really enjoy just the hobby side of having everything work when you're far, far away from home. And this definitely does do that. And I really don't think I would change anything in this electrical setup, which is something I've never been able to say before in any other setup. I've always tinkered. And now it's like, I've got nothing to do when I get to camp. We're not chasing the sun. We've just got power to burn. Okay, so we'll have a look in the driver's side of the Canopy now. Predominantly this side's about storage, but there is a few cool things going on in here too. One of them's quite new and I'm pretty excited about. Righto, we'll start at the bottom of the Canopy and we'll work our way up to the good bits. So down the bottom we have a utility drawer, and this was something also I wasn't sure I really wanted, but for us it's been invaluable. We put all our camera gear in here, it's all in one place and it's all safe. And obviously that's not going to be in everyone's use, but I think having a drawer, I would nearly, to be honest, have two of these. I really do enjoy having that. You're not just stacking stuff on top of each other and not being able to find it. The drawer is really bloody handy. It's serving us well so far. So on top, we've got a rubber mat on top and some tie down points. So we tie our chairs down and things like that. The chainsaw sits up here. Just being able to have those locations to tie things down, little details make the difference. So we'll talk about the thing that is in the center of the screen right now, and that's this big bad boy here. This is a new addition as of yesterday, really. The great team at G-Works said, we want to put an oven in your car. We're doing the Sydney show this weekend. We want to be able to cook a few things while we're down at the Sydney show. I have never seen 12-volt oven that big. That is a dead set monster, and they don't know it yet, but I don't think they're going to get it back. I think we'll make great use of that as we're camping, but we'll hear about that. I'll see what happens there. But yeah, so that's a nice addition to the Canopy. Beside it, we've got the ARB twin compressor. Tried, tested, it's pretty much still what everyone runs. I nearly did put a TJM in, the twin version of it, but I've had this before, it worked. It was actually a bit lighter, and it used a lot less power, so that was my decision and how I come to it. I had an old ARB air tank from a previous compressor at home. We painted it black and made use of that because I have the space for it. And it just makes, you know, when you're blowing out your air filters and things like that, you've got a bit more capacity having a tank there. Towards the back of the Canopy, I've installed some fishing rod holders, and we have actually tested that. I haven't actually been fishing in this setup yet, but that is really quite a good spot for them. We just search for a couple more two-piece fishing rods. I've got a couple already, and they fit up there really nice. It also is a good spot clipping an umbrella, and I know that doesn't sound like a big thing, but having somewhere for everything to go makes actually utilising the space that much easier. So basically this area in the back here is completely empty, and that is important when you are traveling and touring and towing something. You leave your van behind, you're going to get the groceries, or you go to get, just grabbing anything. You need a bit of spare space in any of your setup, and that's what this side of the Canopy has really given us in spades. We have space to burn, and yeah, it all just works really well. We're really happy with the 1250. And the short little tray at the end for firewood. It's just a great combination, and with all the electronics and storage solutions inside it, yeah, we feel really lucky to have this. We're really, really proud of what we've built here and what G-Works have helped created, and the whole package together really does work bloody really well. Well, there we have it, guys. That's our 79 series touring setup, and at this point I really need to thank our sponsors. We haven't had to pay full stick for everything on this vehicle, and without that help from those guys we wouldn't be able to create the amount of content that we do. And if you have been enjoying it, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help us out. Shoot across to smarttouringsystems.com.au, check out the solar clip, and we've got some cool merch on there. And don't forget to check out our other YouTube channel, STS Garage, where we have a full build series on the 79 and a lot of in-store videos. We really were hands-on with what we did, and we really do enjoy working on vehicles as well as using them. We've got a cool projects running on STS Garage at the moment, so go and check that out. Anyway, guys, it is time to leave you there. Don't forget, you do only live once, so get out there and enjoy it. Thanks for watching.